The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. Longman Simplified the English series. Read by Orathai Sitthichan. Chapter 22. In Haunted House. About noon the next day, the boys arrived at the date tree. They had come for their tunes. "I say, Tom, do you know what day it is?" said Huck suddenly. Tom thought and then said, with a startled look in his eyes, "Good heavens, I never once thought of it, Huck." "Well, I do not either, but all at once I remembered that today is Friday. Hang it, one can't be too careful, Huck. We might have got into an awful lot of trouble, starting such a thing on a Friday. Might? Better say would. There are some lucky days perhaps, but Friday isn't one of them." So they gave up their search and played Robin Hood all the afternoon. On Saturday, soon after midday, they were back in the day tree again. They shuddered their tunes and marched off. When they reached the haunted house, the dead silence and the loneliness of the place were so repellent that they were afraid for a moment to go in. Then they crept inside. They saw a dusty room with an ancient fireplace, broken windows, and a ruined staircase. They talked in whispers, listening to catch the slightest sound and ready for an instant retreat. After a time, they became bothered and gave the place a critical and interest examination. Next, they wanted to look upstairs. They took their tools in a corner and made the ascent. They found the same signs of decay. They were about to go down and being worked when Tom whispered, "Shh, what is it?" asked Huck, going as wide as a sheet wide-fright. "Shh, Dad, hear it." "Yes." "Oh, let's run. Keep still. Don't move. They're coming right toward the door." The terrified boys staged themselves up on the floor, with their eyes to holes in the bars and lay waiting. Two men entered. Each boy said to himself, "That's the old deaf and dumb spaniel who's been in the town once or twice lately. I've never seen the other man before." The other, who was talking in a low voice, was a ragged fellow with an unpleasant face. The Spaniard was wrapped in a big loose overcoat. He had a bushy with braid, long white hair flowed from under his wide hat, and he wore dark spectacles. They sat down on the floor, and the other went on talking. "No, I've to it over. It's too dangerous." "Dangerous?" repeated the deaf and dumb Spaniard, to the immense surprise and horror of the boys. They gasped and shivered. It was Redskin Joe's voice. "Don't be a coward," continued Redskin Joe. "Isn't coming here in the daytime dangerous? Anyone who saw us would suspect us." "I know that," replied the stranger, "but there isn't any other place as suitable. I want to leave this place. I wanted to yesterday, but it wasn't any use trying to move out with those accursed boys playing over there." Those accursed boys shivered again. The two men got out some food and ate in silence. "Look here," said Redskin Joe after a time. "Go back to your home up the river. Wait there till you hear from me. I'll risk going into this town just once more for a look around. We'll do that job. which you think is dangerous. After I spin round a little and think everything's favorable, then we'll set out for Texas together. This seems satisfactory. Both men soon began yawning and Redskin Joe said, I can hardly keep my eyes open. Isn't your turn to watch? He curled up on the floor and was soon fast asleep. Presently, the watcher began to nod, and he too slept. The boys drew a long, grateful breath. Tom whispered, Now, our chance come. Tom urged. I came back. A light stumbled softly, but the first step he took produced such a terrible creak from the rotten floor that he sank down almost dead with fright. He did not make a second attempt. As the sun was setting, Redskin Joe sat up, stared around, and then stirred his companion with his foot. You're a fine watchman, aren't you? It's the right truth. Nothing happened. Well, it's nearly time to be moving, partner, said Redskin Joe. What shall we do with that money we've got left? I don't know, said the strangers. Leave it here as we always done. It's no use tugging it away till we start out. $650 is silver is a lot to carry. Yes, but it may be a long time before I get the right chance for that job. Accidents may happen, and it isn't a very safe place. We'll bury it properly. Good idea, said Redskin Joe's companion, who walked across the room, raised one of the big flat stones in the fireplace, and lifted out a bag. He took from it $20 or $30 for himself, and the same amount for Redskin Joe, and then passed it to the latter, who was on his knees in the corner now, begging with his knife. The boys forgot all their fears, all their miseries, in an instant. With wide eyes, they watched every movement, like this was better than anything they could have imagined. Here was the best kind of treasure hunting, without any troublesome uncertainty as to where to dig. The half-blade sniffed, stuck something. Hello, he exclaimed. What is it? Asked his companion. It's a box, I believe. Here, tell me, and we'll see what is here for. Never mind, I've made a hole in it. He put his hand in and drew it out. It's money. The two men examined the handful of coins. They were gold. The boys above were as excited as the men and as delighted. There's an old rusty pig in the corner, said the stranger. I saw it a minute ago. He ran and brought the boys' pick and spade. Redskin Joe took the pick, looked it over critically, shook his head, muttered something to himself, and then began to use it. The box was soon unearthed. Partner, there are thousands of dollars here, said Redskin Joe. I've often heard that Merle's gang was around here one summer. He marked the stranger. This is probably their money. But now you want me to do that job. The half-breed found a weak light shone in his eyes. You don't know me. It isn't robbery altogether. It's revenge, and I'll need you deep in it. All right? What shall we do with it? Bury it again. Yes. The boys above were delighted. No, no. Deep disappointment above. I've nearly forgotten that pig and fresh earth on it. The boys were 6 withered and moments. Why are a pig and a spade here? Who washed them? Have you heard anybody? Seen anybody? What? Shall we bury it again and leave them to come and see the ground disturbed? Never. We'll take into my place. White of cloth? You mean number 1? No, number 2 under the cards, replied Redskin Joe. Number 1 is not safe enough. All right, it's nearly dark enough to start. The half-breed got up and went about from window to window, cautiously peering out. Who could have brought those tools here? He asked presently. You think they can be upstairs? The boy's blood ran cold. Redskin Joe put his hand on his knee, stood for a moment undecided, and then turned towards the staircase. His steps came creaking up the stairs. Both the boys were shivering as if with a dozen fevers. Crash! Redskin Joe landed on the floor at mites. The rotten wood of fallen staircase. He picked himself up, cursing, and his companion said, Now, what's the use of that? If anybody's up there, let them stay there. Who cares? In my opinion, whoever left those tools here caused sight of us, and those we were devils or ghosts. I bet they are running yet. Redskin Joe muttered for some time. Soon afterwards, they slipped out of the house in the deepening twilight and moved towards the river with their precious box. Tom and Huck got up, weak but immensely relieved. They had not the slightest desire to follow Redskin Joe and the stranger. They were content to reach the ground without broken necks. They did not talk much on the way home. They were too busy hating themselves and the bad luck that made them take the tools there. But for that, Redskin Joe would never have suspected and would have left the silver and the gold date determined to keep a lookout for that spade. When he came to own spying out for chances to do his revengeful job, and to follow him to number 2, wherever that might be.